Dharmabytes is brought to you by Free Buddhist Audio, the Dharma for your life. Our work is funded entirely by donations from our generous listeners. If you would like to help us keep this free, make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. Thank you, and happy listening.
All right. Now, for the bardo of the moment of death. This is what the Tibetans call the Chikhai bardo. And what does this mean? What happens at the moment of death? We know, of course, that consciousness is withdrawn from the senses. One no longer hears anything. Sounds fade away. One no longer sees anything. Everything is a sort of blur, and eventually no blur. No tactile sensations, no olfactory sensations, no taste. Consciousness is withdrawn from the five senses, withdrawn from the physical body, and eventually, of course, breathing itself ceases. One draws in one long last breath, and then, as it were sighingly, the famous rattle in the throat, exhales, and there's a long silence, and no further breath in drawn. And to those standing around, it seems as though the person is unconscious, in a sort of coma. At this point, at this stage, consciousness is dissociated completely from all mundane things. Dissociated from the senses, from the lower mind, dissociated from all the things one was interested in during life, dissociated from all one's passions and attachments, one's likings and one's dislikings. At that moment, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, an experience occurs. At that moment, dissociated as one is from the senses, the lower mind, from all worldly things, one suddenly experiences, just for a flash at least, just for an instant, reality itself. What the text calls the clear light of reality. For a blinding, a dazzling instant, this dawns and then disappears. What Buddhists call the Dharmakaya. For most people, it lasts just this instant. But in the case of others, it lasts for a longer time. There's a sort of basis for it, especially in the case of those who practiced meditation. But so far as most people are concerned, when, at the time of death, reality is experienced in this way, it's not only instantaneous, it is even terrifying. Most people at this time, at this moment, feel intensely afraid of this glimpse, of this revelation, and they shrink back. They withdraw, they retreat from it. Because, we may say, the last thing that they want is reality. They want anything but not reality. They can't face reality. As T.S. Eliot says, humankind cannot bear very much reality. It has in fact been suggested, I believe by Aldous Huxley, that our whole psychophysical organism is designed to protect and shield us from the impact, from the onrush of reality, to screen out reality, so that we get it in just dribbles, as it were, and can assimilate it. But, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, for those who do not shrink back, this moment, or this experience, represents a great opportunity. If one doesn't shrink back, if one is not afraid, if one accepts, then, according to this teaching, at that moment, one can, as it were, unite oneself with that reality. But in order to be able to do this, in order to be able in this, as it were, split second or longer of the experience, one must recognize that reality. One must recognize the clear light, not as anything coming from outside, not as anything terrible, not as anything, as it were, breaking and bursting in. One must recognize the clear light as one's own. Recognize it as the radiance of one's own true mind, at its deepest or at its loftiest.
We hope you enjoyed today's Dharmabyte. Please help us keep this free. Make a contribution at freebuddhistaudio.com/donate. And thank you.